going on, everybody? It's Fandom Empire Live, Tuesday night, January the 11th, apparently. 2022. That's scary. Johnny, do you remember when Mr. Judge would come into the classroom in the morning? Usually he was there before us, but he was always there before us. But sometimes we got to see him do it, and he would have the date up on the chalkboard. But the date was always done in some fancy writing or a fancy color, or he'd even have the days where he would intentionally spell something wrong, and if you pointed it out, you got a gummy. Good times. Good times. You want to feel old? That's 25 fucking years ago.
I'm good on feeling old for the train, thanks.
Your teacher gave you drugs for calling out what he was wrong on?
This was the 90s, Tommy. Gummies were just candy back then.
I don't know. You're just straight up saying your teacher gave you drugs. That's a pretty big one.
Yeah,
right
if
there.
there's any teacher we ever had that would be the one to give us drugs, it's not that one.
Gotcha.
He would have been more like the
and that one, sadly,
shine your shoes type.
Yeah.
Your shoes aren't shiny enough.
Yeah.
That would have been him in the 70s.
Yeah. Or chasing a random student down a hallway because he pissed them off and then throwing him into a locker. So,
That was also in the 90s.
So that also happened in the 70s, apparently, too. So it is what it is.
I mean, it was still happening in the 90s, so I'm not surprised.
It was.
Only then it was chasing them around the block.
Yeah, poor Dale. His wife still probably hurt. Anyways, now that we have that awkward 2 minutes of random inside baseball talk about Johnny and I's school lives that Kieran might have some insight on, because I think he had him as a teacher too.
If you actually heard it, he'd know the place. Did you know he was there?
Mary Street?
Yeah.
When did Kieran go to Mary Street?
No, not Kieran, Jer.
Oh, when the hell did Jer go to Mary Street?
He would have been there around the time you and I met.
Oh, so question. We're spilling online secrets here. Okay. His girlfriend, is that the younger sister of the girl that we used to go to school with?
I don't think so.
I just noticed the last name was, I think your family was, I don't want to say it on air.
I don't know.
Okay, well, when you see her last name, let me know if there's any I mean, it's a kind of
Is she one of your cousins, Johnny? Is Jared dating one of your cousins?
Oh my god!
No, Jared's not dating one of my cousins.
Go. Anyways, welcome to Fandom Empire Live. Tonight we have Scream. We're going to sort of do our ranking in a way by just sort of talking about each individual film and saying where we ranked it. Scream hype is out there everywhere. We'll go over some of the social media reactions and what the overall buzz is saying right now, even though 3 of the 5 of us couldn't see it if we wanted to. Anyways, what's going on, Mike? Fresh off recording 31, the Halloween podcast, episode number 1, Evil Dies Tonight. What's going on, man?
Good. It was good, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for this week, for this show. Not to brag, but I'm excited to see Scream this Friday. Wasn't excited about 4 months ago, but the advertising and the promotion, what they've done, what I've seen in the trailers, I'm very excited for it. So hope I don't go into the movie with too much expectations and get disappointed. But overall, I'm doing good, man, and I'm excited for that movie.
Our boy Dean Renner says, and the cousin convo resurfaces. It's not the only thing that's resurfaced. I hear there's some rumors about some Terrence sightings. Maybe we'll be seeing him again soon. And also I found this. For those of you that wanted to know, if you're new to the channel, what the extremely official Halloween Ends poster looks like, you're looking at it. Anyway.
It's so unoriginal, taking the Kills poster and crossing it out and writing ends on the bottom. I mean, come on.
Nobody crossed anything out. It's just like a graphic. It wasn't crossed out. Anyways, also joining us, He won at game night again. Just get that out of the way now. What's going on, Kieran?
Not too much. Actually, I'm feeling super
green around the gills.
good and relaxed, and I don't know. Oh yeah,
you're looking a little green around the gills.
I know what happens. So I put us on full screen, and when I do that, there's no white light. There you go. When I do that, it's all blue reflecting on me. I don't know why that makes me look orange, but anyways, feeling good. I just had my booster shot, and then like we always say, we don't want to argue about all this silly stuff in the chat, but man, it really bothered the shit out of me last night. I couldn't sleep. I didn't go to work today. Just kind of getting better now, but I don't know. I feel really good now. You know, I want to talk at some point. We got to talk about Yellowstone season 2 as well, because I just finished it.
3 or 4.
I just finished it, and I was not really all that impressed. So I will get your take on that at some point later.
Oh, I thought season 2 was far better than. I think season 2 is the best season, so that's probably bad news for you.
So yeah, same here. Season 2 was phenomenal.
It's just the end. Just the end. I thought the season was great.
I'm trying to remember how it ended.
It ended really quickly without any sort of opposition, or it was like super quickly. I don't know. Can we do spoilers for that on here? It is two years ago.
No objections from anybody on the panel? Okay, no objections. All right, so we're talking Yellowstone spoilers for a second.
The end of season 2, they're just like the what are they called? The Buck brothers? The something brothers? I don't know. I forget. Anyways.
The guy and his doofus kid or whatever?
No, the two brothers. The two brothers who are trying to take all the
okay. Yeah, the guy
the casino guys.
Yeah, the guy who's in everything. Every TV series and movie imaginable.
Yeah, with the bleached blonde hair.
I can't think of the actor's name now.
Yeah, he was a bad guy in Arrow as well, and he's in a bunch of stuff.
And in Justified, and in.
Anyways, they kidnap the boy, and like the family's gonna go back, and they're all gearing up and saying like, "Oh, this is gonna bury us," and blah blah blah, and we got to do this. We're going to go and kill them either way. Like it builds up to such a big thing. And then these two guys, the only guards they have, the only thing they have keeping them away is a couple of police who wait outside the roadway. And then they go and they dismiss them. Casey goes in, shoots the shit out of the one guy, and then they go and kill the other guy. And then they go kill a bunch of like weird hick militia guys and get the boy back. It's like there was no opposition at all. Nobody died. Like nobody on the good guy's side.
I just like it just registered to me where you're at because I watched it all like back to back.
Yeah.
Patience.
Nobody on the good guy's side got hurt.
Just be patient.
It was just like boom, boom. Bunch of people died.
The ending of season 3, though.
Wow.
Well, so then when I get there, it'll be impressive. But the end of season 2 was really good. I thought it was great. It got me hooked. But the ending was just like, oh my god, there's this big problem. Oh nope, it's gone.
They might have overcompensated a little bit on season 3 ending.
I know. Even though I'm a big fan of the show and I'm already into season 3 now, and it's not like it deterred me from watching the show, but really anticlimactic and really seemed dumb for those guys to have zero guards, security, anything. The guy just walked into his house and killed him. For someone who kidnapped a big important guy's son, like he wasn't worried about anything.
Some bitches. Dean Renner says, I heard Michael suplexes Lori off the radio tower and roll credits. Oh man, Johnny, what kind of suplexes is he going with?
I mean,
I just say he hits her with RKO.
It's a little too hip for Michael Myers. He's more of an old school guy, so I'm thinking maybe like an old school gut wrench.
Our boy Kenny's here. What's going on, Kenny? Hopefully all's well with you, man. I see our boy Zach in the chat found a way to get Halloween Kills. Congratulations. Glad you were able to do that.
I could see Michael Myers doing a belly to belly, just like dropping all his weight on top of her.
Please, this is Michael. This would be like a Kurt Angle belly to belly overhead, or Taz, I guess, probably be a better example of that. But yeah, just over top, like just yeet.
I'm thinking
That's right. I yeeted.
A Michael Myers, Brock Lesnar style release German suplex to Laurie. So you see Laurie go flying off the radio tower, but then fucking Myers pulls himself back up onto the radio tower, Shawn Michaels style, over the ropes.
Skins the cat.
Yeah. Does the little taunt and everything. Fireworks go off. Halloween ends. Oh, okay. Maybe that might be a little too cheese. Tommy B, what's going on, bro? Welcome to the show.
I know we've only been going on for like what, fucking 15 minutes, but here I am. I'm here. You know, business as usual. Week's going all right. Can't complain. Well, or as I always say, you can complain. It's just do other people want to hear you fucking complain. Yeah, hanging in there.
This is social media for all intents and purposes. That's all people do. Anyways.
Oh man. Have you ever joined a Facebook group and realized like 12 hours later I shouldn't be here?
It doesn't take 12 hours.
Literally almost every single one of them.
But no, this is just more of a it's too funny. There's too much
Johnny
gold.
slept the other 11 hours, so
I joined a Seinfeld wrestling meme group on Facebook.
Oh, well,
there's some gold. Oh, that one's got like the one I sent you has got like 66 different variants that I've seen so far. There's a green one that's DX version. There's 1,000 different versions of that one.
Gotta love Seinfeld. Seinfeld and wrestling. Speaking of wrestling, as we get to hour number 2 here, and we'll say bon voyage to Tommy and Mikey B. Jer's coming on, and Kieran and I will sit here and nod, and Johnny and Jer won't shut up for an hour. So that's basically what we'll have there in the second half.
it's enjoyable.
Although we get to present the topics, so there's that.
Yeah, because we're not going to just hijack it and talk about whatever the hell we want to anyway.
We get to
when someone tries to hijack the show is you remove the problem, and then you invite the problem back in and tell them to behave.
We get to
later.
We get to introduce the topic and say, "Oh yeah, I really liked AEW," and then Jared goes on about Baron von Raschke for an hour or something like that, and we're like, "What the fuck?" Like, can we talk a little bit?
Oh boy. Anyways, guys, Scream. The reviews are in, and it's incredibly positive thus far. Like, incredibly positive to the point where there are several people saying it's the best in the franchise. Several people saying it's right up there with the original, although the original is not my favorite in the franchise. I'm still of the opinion all of the positive reviews that have come in for Scream 2022 have definitely gotten my hype up for the movie, but I expect to be disappointed. Like, despite all the positive reviews, I'm still kind of like, it's a Scream movie. At some point towards halfway through the movie or towards the end, they're going to be like, gotcha, it's now shit. But maybe not. Maybe not. One thing I've heard in particular from a lot of like credible sources and like just industry experts are the movie's a bit of a game changer. So I'm curious. I have no idea what they mean by that. I only know one significant spoiler, and I'm looking forward to enjoying this movie whenever the fuck we can. What are your guys' thoughts on just the overwhelmingly positive reception for Scream? And this is a positive reception from people that aren't horror movie fans too.
I mean, I'm assuming that there's a little bit of a different formula in this one, but that's not, not just based on the fact that they really needed it. Like, they sorely needed it. From what I saw in Scream 4, and I'll remind you guys that I didn't watch all of Scream 4. I took it out of my DVD player and broke it on air here. I watched about 40 minutes and I was like, this is garbage. I can't do it. And I think it just the formula got tired and boring, but the formula is also very dated. So I'm assuming they had to do something brand new in this movie. And I feel like, from what I'm getting, I feel like this is kind of a brand new idea that they made into a Scream idea. So I feel like it's going to be a good overall movie based on the opinions, and that's what I'm hoping for. I don't think I'm going to go into it over excited because I haven't really ever been that impressed by the Scream franchise, except for maybe when the first one first came out and I was much younger. And but yeah, I'm excited for it. Even if I could go to theater, I probably wouldn't see it in theater. There's a lot of other things I probably rather go see than a Scream movie. But the first time it hits Netflix or whatever I can access it on, I want to go see it because it sounds like people are being very positive about a horror flick, which usually, can only get such great reviews.
Now, Mike, I kind of put you on the spot during the recording of 31 Halloween podcast, but you're kind of our go-to guy here who I know is going to see the movie pretty quickly. Are you cool with doing our non-spoiler and spoiler reviews for the channel for Scream? No pressure, only live on air.
No, yeah, I can do that. I can. I'll be out of town. I actually be in North Carolina this weekend, but once I get back to the house, I can do like a quick review, spoiler free. Nice. I think my show time's at 7:30, so yeah, I can definitely do that. But I think the thing for me is I was so disappointed in Scream 4 that my expectations for this film were very low, especially when it was announced. I'm just like, oh shit, great, this again. And I'm somebody who really thoroughly enjoys the first two films a lot. So I'm trying to keep my expectations where they were, because they have done a fantastic job of pushing my expectations through the roof. And I don't want that to be the case, because I don't want to go in there with my expectations too high and then walk out disappointed. So I think anybody can write a good review, but the reviews of who they're coming from are important to me. And there's a lot of credible people that said that this movie was phenomenal, that this is the closest thing that they have felt to the original since then. So I'm very excited for it. But I'm trying to halt my expectations and my excitement, at least mid-level, and not let them go through the roof. But I'd be sitting here lying to you if I told you that my expectations and my excitement aren't high right now. So
before Tommy and Johnny chime in here on their thoughts on the reception, Dean said, that's why I get annoyed with the diehard Scream fans. They're avid at how good and different all of them are. And I'm just like, but they're not. All I would say is that I know how Dean feels about Scream. I know he's not high on it. But as like a diehard Halloween fan, I'd be really careful about criticizing.
I was going to say, is that really a glass house you want to throw stones from inside of?
When you have Rob Zombie's 2 Halloween movies, Halloween 5, and I'll give H2O a pass because of how half the fan base feels, but Resurrection, because I can tell you right now, again, it's subjective to the viewer, but like I'll watch Scream 1 and 2 and maybe even 3 before I watch either of Zombies movies, Resurrection or 5.
I'd agree with that take as well. But again, I love the first 2 films. I can watch the third film and not be disappointed. I could, that's more of a fun watch for me. But yeah, those first 2 films for me are up there. So I definitely understand where he's coming from. But Halloween's my favorite, and I can sit here and give you a list of Halloween movies that are straight dog shit. So
I just think the upper echelon of Halloween movies are far superior to Scream, but there's
Agreed.
There's another half of them that maybe aren't that at all. So
yeah, I mean, we're comparing a series with 4 movies to a series with 11 or 12 movies. What are we on right now?
it's
I
12.
mean, but
12,
you know,
yeah.
if I'm being honest with you guys, outside of like I put Scream up there with, and this is gonna cause a lot of throwback, but Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, because I love those 2 franchises, but there are only, out of all those movies, maybe 2-3 movies from each that I thoroughly think are really good, if that. I mean, for Nightmare on Elm Street, the only 2 that come to me that I really enjoy is the first one and Dream Warriors. Outside of that, I really don't care. And then when it comes to Friday the 13th, Part 6, first is okay, 2 and 3 are fine. So I don't know, man. It's just, I mean, it's closer than what people think. I think a lot of nostalgia plays into it for people, and I get that. But I mean, just being honest.
I find it weird that those series, both Nightmare on Elm Street and
Scream.
And Freddy and Jason. Nightmare on Elm Street and
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. I don't know why I couldn't come up with that. It's weird. I find those ones, I like number 3 and 4 out of them, and like for some reason they didn't start off the greatest for me, and they end off like most series end off. They, almost every series of movies tails off. But I find that it's weird that 3 and 4 are my favorites, I think, of both of those.
Yeah, no, series definitely tail off. The more you make,
Yeah, everything has to taper off. I mean, you can't rehash the same idea over and over again and make it better.
So those 2 are usually higher up on people's lists than the Scream franchise, even though Scream has a lot more movies in the franchise. I think that they are closer than what a lot of people think they are, in my opinion.
Tommy, considering how Halloween Kills was received in October, which critically was not very good, and even though we don't have access to what it is on Rotten Tomatoes yet, we're just going off of social media reactions to this point. Are you surprised that Scream has been at least accepted way more positively than Halloween Kills was?
A little bit, honestly. I mean, I feel like a lot of folks are pretty vocal if they just don't like Scream. I mean, just look to our chat right now. You don't have to look very far to see folks who just don't like the Scream franchise. I'm one who sometimes asks how the hell Ghostface got into be, one of those big figures of horror. I guess it's just the year it was released and whatever. But it is surprising, but again, a lot of these are more general reviews, and it's the general public. Ultimately, that is who a movie is made for, though. So, who the hell knows? I want to say maybe the movie will hit kills out of the park as far as numbers they'll bring in, but with things being the way they are, I mean, hell, y'all can't go see the freaking thing right now.
Yeah, I don't think it will.
Point, right?
I don't think it'll touch Kills financially because there's already theaters down in your neck of the woods that aren't doing full capacity anymore. So
yeah.
It's just the time.
It's hard to keep track of it all. It is.
Johnny, it's 2022 and a new Scream movie is being received quite positively. Thoughts?
I mean, for me, it's purely cautious optimism, because nostalgia is a hell of a drug sometimes, and this one seems to be
Adam Cole right now. Sorry, I had to say it with his head down. He looked like Adam Cole for a second. It's like, holy fuck, Adam Cole's on the show.
Who, me?
Yeah, you did for a second.
Exactly how high and or drunk are you right now?
Not enough.
I think you have to be if you're mistaking Kieran for Adam Cole.
I'd kick Adam Cole's ass.
But I mean, like I said, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and this one seems to be tapping that well a lot more than like 3 did, and 4 for that matter. So I mean, I don't know. Do I hope it's going to be good? Sure. The trailer made it look good. Everything we're hearing sounds good, but I've been burned by that hand many times before, where everybody says it's good, and the reports come out, it's going to be a good movie, it's a great movie, and then you actually see it, and it's like, this is trash.
Well, I guess you also gotta ask yourself, like for me, what I did with Kills is, as a fan going into the movie, what do I want to get out of the movie? So I guess the question is, going in to see Scream, what do you want to get out of the movie? Do you want to be scared? Because I can tell you that's probably not going to be the case. I mean, what are you looking for? So I don't, I've heard that it's scary, but I've also heard that it's
from
funny
a lot of
too.
people that it's there's definitely comedy in it, but that it's also the scariest entry of the franchise yet. Which makes sense because they were supposed to go darker tone with it. So, hang on, guys. Something's been brought to my attention, and it needs to be addressed. We have to hear this guy go on about Halloween all the time.
Oh shit!
And Solid Saturn says, "Resurrection is my guilty pleasure. All the Halloween loving you do, and your guilty pleasure is Halloween Resurrection."
I mean, I guess it depends on why it's the guilty pleasure. Like, I mean, if you watch because it's so bad, you just laugh at it. I get that.
He just watches Jamie
But
Lee's death.
You say that Rob Zombie's H2 is a guilty pleasure for you. So I don't see much of a difference between that.
I would say guilty pleasure for me.
I feel terrible about it.
It would be Rob Zombie's H1 would be for me, just because Michael is a badass in that movie, and I can at least enjoy that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with.
Explain this to us. Is it a guilty pleasure that it's so bad that you like parts of it? Because that's what Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is for me. Or do you legitimately really like this film?
That's a
So
good
let me
question.
tell you this. I haven't seen Rob Zombie's H2 in a really long time. But if I can remember off the top of my head the way that it started off, I thought that film was going to be fucking badass. Because it starts off with the dream sequence, right?
Yeah, it's like,
Is that correct?
it's like 15, 20 minutes of pretty awesome. And then,
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. What he did to Octavia Spencer, the nurse, I'm like, oh, this is about to be the baddest Halloween movie I've ever seen in my life. And it literally just took a big old shit on my chest right there. Right after it ended, big old shit.
Fucking Wayne Gotke. If you say Halloween Resurrection is a guilty pleasure because of Tyra Banks in it, I would go with that.
She has like, what, 15 minutes max screen time? Once you add everything up, maybe? And you don't even see her get killed.
I would be stunned if she has 5.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
I was going to say, 15 minutes, that's more than a lot of other freaking characters
You're right.
in the freaking whole franchise.
I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but she looked like Michael fucked her up too, draining her blood or whatever. I would love to have seen that. That's something they messed up on. They capitalized. At least Rob Zombie's H2 capitalized on killing Octavia Spencer.
I don't know if there's a way
we got to see
how
that.
much screen time she had or not.
It's not much. I know it's when they do the interview when they're in the garage. I want to say maybe
no way it's 15 minutes.
Yeah, I would say maybe 6.
I can imagine that she was not doing any stuff. Like they would be like, "Oh, we'll have Michael kill you this way." She's like, "No, no one's fucking touching me." Like I can imagine that being a thing.
You guys have I don't know, piqued my interest. You've given me an idea. Impromptu trivia question here.
No!
We ain't even fucking halfway into the show.
God, no!
It's all about screen time. This will give you an idea, though, of how little screen time she probably has. How much screen time, without cheating, guys, do you think Darth Vader had in A New Hope?
11 minutes.
11 minutes, yeah.
Are you shitting me?
That's pretty low. It's close. You're much closer than I thought you would. I think it's 9. It's 8 or 9.
I've never
is the
seen it,
correct
so
answer.
I thought I remembered hearing it was 11 dead on, so that was going to be my guess. And
How can you ask us a trivia question but not have the answer to it?
I just knew it was 8 or 9.
Okay, the answer is 8 or 9.
I just figured most people would have been like 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 25.
you'd be a tremendous
not
math
completely a
teacher,
whole lot.
Sean.
So I was okay at math. Anyway. All right, guys. Just really quickly, where did Scream movies rank for you? I know we did a ranking not too long ago because I think it was the episode after Kieran broke his disc in half and threw it. But where do the Scream movies rank for each one of you? For me, 2's the best. Mine probably goes 2, 3, 1, 4.
Wow.
3 is a garbage film, make no mistake about it. But it's one of those movies that it's so bad at times that it's fun. And Putty from Seinfeld is fucking hilarious in Scream 3. So why not?
Mine's simple. Mine's in the order that they came out. And I disliked 4 a lot. I didn't dislike 3. I can still watch 3. I don't think it's a good film, but I can still watch it. But those first 2 films for me, really good.
Kind of proves Kieran's point earlier, though. But the more you make, the more they start to tail away, and your order specifically spells that out.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. Like, I don't know. I didn't like a lot of the characters in 4. I thought Ghostface was, even though it was I want to say Ghostface, the kills were good. Like that, the room right across the street from where they were staying, he fucked that girl up pretty bad. The entire room was bloody. The stab to the forehead with the cop in the car. But I just thought the jokes were a little too corny. A little too many jokes in that film. I just didn't like it at all. The first one will always be my favorite. And then 2 is very close to the first. I really enjoyed the second film a lot. But yeah, I mean, mine's simple in the order that they came out.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with a lot. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think 3 is as bad as some people would say it is. I enjoyed it almost as much as the rest of, I mean, I did like 1 and I did like 2 a little bit less, and I did like 3 just a little bit less, not a lot less. But I didn't have a problem with the ending, and I think a lot of people's big problem is the ending and trying to tie together that, it also controlled the, what happened in the first and second movie and those sorts of things. I know a lot of people didn't like that. I was fine with it. I thought it was a cool little revelation. Yeah, but I do think that the original Scream movie is, iconic and, brings back lots of memories about the time but yeah, it definitely kind of curtails after that. It definitely tapers off after that. And 4, like I said, was just so bad I couldn't even finish it. And it wasn't that I was like being impatient. I was just like, this is like, why would I watch the rest? There's no way that I can get better. It's just been so bad, and I had to turn it off. So that, and I don't even I can't even think of very many movies where I've done that. Like, I usually stick it out and watch the rest of no movies. I've never walked out of a theater before. So yeah, it's not like something I do quite often. And yeah, I couldn't get through 4.
I just like every which way they went with the first one. Like the start of the movie, it's one of the best in a horror franchise that I've seen in a really long, probably ever. I mean, to kill off you got to think about the time that was, to kill her off. I mean, she was advertised to be one of the, the main person in that film, and she was killed off from the jump. That's a huge risk in itself. I like the way throughout the first film that they lean towards, we think Billy's the killer, but they, throughout the film, they're like, maybe he's not. And then for a minute, I'm like, I guess he isn't. And then of course he gets stabbed, and I'm like, oh fuck. Well, he's definitely not the killer. Well, who the fuck is the killer? And then the twist. I just thought it was a very well done film, in every way, and it keeps me still very interested. I don't know for Sean, it doesn't. And I've heard that from a lot of people. So I get that part, but still for me, I just think that Wes Craven and what he did with that first film was phenomenal.
Excellent stuff, guys. Excellent stuff. Tommy, how about you? Where'd that list go for you? Oh wait, no, you haven't seen it. My apologies. You said
I mean, I've seen like the first movie a handful of times. I've maybe seen the second one, but I can't speak to the other
Tommy
ones.
hasn't seen it, eh?
I remember
I'm
the last
definitely
time,
not going to see fucking Scream 4
Interesting.
because fuck that.
I remember the last time you watched a Scream movie. I was there.
Yeah, it was a fucking piece of shit.
yeah,
You
that
think
was
I
rough.
fucking bought the 3-pack of movies because I got it for like what, $8-10? I have not felt so led to go and watch 2 or 3 because that was what we call an unpleasant experience. Waste of fucking time. Absolutely no desire to turn that back on. The only thing that was good about that stream was us making fun of the film. That was it.
All right, and Johnny, how about you? Where are your Scream movies ranked?
Sucks.
I mean, my list is like it's the same as Mike's. 1, 2, 3, 4. They got progressively worse. I mean, there are independent parts of the movies that stand out for different reasons. And it's not even because they're horror movies. I mean, Jerry O'Connell getting up and serenading Sydney in the cafeteria is funny. And some of the the movie set scenes in 3 were good and interesting, and of course Carrie Fisher's cameo is fucking hilarious, but overall they just got steadily worse, that it just became, I don't want to say more and more predictable, but it became less and less interesting. Like there wasn't as much invested in the mystery of who the killers were. It was just, it kind of got to a point where it was more, let's just see if we can shock you this time. Let's not actually tell, an interesting story to get us there. Whereas in the first movie, they actually they told a good story because we didn't know these characters. We didn't know the stories, and there was no constant rewriting and changing and making things important and not important, that, it just, they couldn't keep their own canon straight, by the time 3 and 4 came around, that it was just so convoluted and confusing that, a lot of the things they try to be like, well, this is why I'm doing this. Well, what? That makes no fucking sense. That they just got more and more off the rails as time went on, and hopefully that's what this one doesn't do.
The only reason I finished Scream 4 is because Wendy Peppercorn was in it. So,
All right, guys.
Anybody get that joke? By the way, nobody knows who that is.
I mean, when you say Wendy Peppercorn, I think of the lifeguard from Sandlot, and
Yes, she's in that movie.
I didn't know.
Have you seen Scream 4? She's the annoying blonde cop.
I didn't put those two together.
Well,
I've only seen Scream 4 once, and it was back when it first came out. But I did not put it together.
Wendy Peppercorn and then this annoying ass cop that you just want to fucking get hit by a car the entire movie.
She's fucking in the next movie too.
I heard. I suppose. I mean, never mind.
Wait, is she fucking in it?
Oh, she's fucking all through the movie. It's just her fucking.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Now we know what the positive reviews came from.
I mean,
that'd be some more marketing deception from them. It's actually a fucking porn.
I mean, Squints is going to be pissed that he could have just waited a few years to see her naked. Now, instead of fake drowning, but whatever.
When was the last time, or if it was ever possible, that you could go to a fucking movie theater and see a porno? Like, legitimately.
I mean, there are still adult theaters in certain places, Tommy. That still exists.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the purpose of those theaters.
Excuse me? What? What?
Tommy, you're speaking from experience here, pal.
I didn't say that.
It sure sounds like it.
Wow, Tommy B. How's your kids? How's your wife?
Wow.
What are we doing here?
I don't know. Ask Pimp Man Tommy B over there. Holy fuck.
Jesus.
Legitimately, though, like, theaters have to conform to, a certain standard depending on the country it's in and the rating systems and all. Like, when did that shit get, cemented and they had to cut down X-rated stuff that couldn't be put in theaters? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, technically they still could. I mean, it's just they don't. Because who's gonna? You're not gonna fill up a theater with adults to watch porn. Like, that's just not a full size theater.
I mean, it might happen in certain places.
Shit. I mean, Halloween 2, Rob Zombies was bad enough for me because I went to see that with my fucking mother.
Oh, yeah. I think you told us this story.
Is that really the phrasing you want to use, considering the way this conversation has been?
I'm just saying, man. You want to talk about being uncomfortable? Oh man, I don't even know how old I was when that movie came out. I just know that I was very uncomfortable, and all I hear is skull fucking people, and then this girl's titties out, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm done. This is Mom. Can we leave?
Where he makes reference to literally fucking his stepdaughter.
Did you ever hear? You guys know? Fuck, what's that movie? I shouldn't start talking if I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Watchmen. Right. You know the movie Watchmen? Malin Ackerman, the girl in it who plays Silk Spectre or whatever, went to go see that movie with her dad and explained that she somehow forgot that she has like a sex scene in the movie and was just like,
how do you forget that you have a sex scene in the film?
I have no idea. I saw an interview with it and it was hilarious. She was just like, it was the most awkward thing ever.
I wish we
could. I think it would be more unpleasant if the story had have ended with her taking her children.
We just see the look on his face as he sees it on screen. Oh, man. You would have been pissed. Look, we've gone a little long here, so we only have about 15 more minutes to get to the rest of our topics here. So let's shift gears here. Really quickly on the Halloween front, there's not much there other than I can tell you that Halloween Kills is now physically available to purchase, and it sounds like there are no steel cases available anywhere. In fact, there may have been a shortage. So be on the lookout for that. And then also, I've seen a lot of people being like, and this is where you guys can chime in here for a second, but they're like, well, why didn't they use the Halloween Kills extended cut ending, which is Laurie leaving the hospital? Laurie's leaving the hospital, go after Michael. And it's quite simple. That ending doesn't work with the next movie taking place 4 years later now and not that same night. And then some. So that's why they didn't use that ending. And honestly, it doesn't flow any better, in my opinion. I know that you get the call back with the phone call, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the extended ending. Any of you guys have any thoughts on that? I thought it was pretty straightforward why they didn't use that ending.
I mean, yeah, it's whatever. I mean, it didn't make it better. It didn't make it worse. But obviously, like you said, it just doesn't make sense for what they're going for. So, obviously we saw that in the trailer. But obviously it didn't make the final cut. So, I mean, it is what it is. Didn't blow my socks off. It's a cool little nod. But nothing major.
All righty. Karen is dead. She's fucking dead, Matt. Get over it.
I was just laughing at that.
Holy fuck.
The amount of Karen is alive, it just like blows my mind. I don't understand how, like, it's a pretty definite ending. I don't get how like.
I mean, I've been around film and television long enough where if you don't see a corpse, they might not actually be dead long enough that, I've seen it enough times that, like, okay, maybe, but, I mean, really?
Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. I thought it was pretty self-explanatory why they didn't use that ending, but I don't know. People are going to keep fighting over that. All right, Game of Thrones front, guys. There's a lot of chatter starting to happen about House of the Dragon It's coming. There's even a rumor out there that it might debut in April. I don't see how that's possible. That seems way too early considering how far they got backed up in their production. I was always of the thought it would come October, November area at the earliest September. But there are some places out there suggesting that they're about to drop another trailer for the show, and that it will reveal that it'll be the same date that Game of Thrones debuted, which I believe is April 17th.
I was about to say, if April is the date, I mean, it has that, like, they have to announce that in the next 2 weeks, would be my opinion. I mean, this is a show that you're going to want to promote and give, because this show, I mean, think about what Game of Thrones was. So this is a show that you're going to want to take those as many months as you can to promote it. And who knows, these shows that you're going to throw in, they'll have merchandise deals with certain companies and everything.
Production budget for the 10 episodes too is projected to be somewhere in around the range of $175 million too. So there's a lot on the line.
I think the general public doesn't really know about this yet. So, I mean, people who already, who are really into Game of Thrones and gave it a second watch through know, and maybe people that specifically are, like to go through the big time shows, the HBO shows and things like that. They might know, but I think the general public, because this was a show that, everybody knew about, everybody watched, and you had to watch it. Otherwise you didn't know what everyone else was talking about. It was the water cooler show, right? So you got to get, you definitely got to get the word out. It was a show that got
parodied by South Park.
That's the measure of how popular you are, for sure.
Yeah.
My question for you guys is this: not if the show will debut in April, because I really don't think it's going to happen. I don't see how they can hit that date, but it'd be cool unless they do. I think Rick and Morty might have done this, or another show did this recently, where they debuted like half a season and then took a break for a couple of months and then did the other half of the season. Did Rick and Morty do that too, or no?
Sorry, what did you say? The Rick and Morty did.
Have they had a season where they debuted half the episodes in the season, then there's a break, and then they debut the rest of them?
Yeah, they did that, and they very much advertised that as well. So people knew it was coming, and they were almost promoted as separate seasons as well. So when the next half was coming out, it was promoted like another new season. And I was actually pretty happy about it. So.
Yeah, that's actually what Ozark is doing. They're in their you're going to drop their final season in the next couple weeks, and it's getting broken up into 2 parts. Still one season, but broken up in 2 parts. So you're going to have a first part release and then a second part release. So,
in terms of keeping your subscribers, it makes sense. It gets you a little more. If there's a bunch of month to month that you want people to have to sign up for more.
I mean, if they're going back even further than that, they could just go one step further and do the Walking Dead treatment. I mean, they premiered the first episode on Halloween night, and then the season didn't start until April of the next year.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that would be something different if they were like, okay, well, here's the day that Game of Thrones debuted, so here's your pilot episode. Come back in the fall for the other 9.
I think that first episode is going to break HBO numbers for sure. I think it was broken this past Sunday, actually. I think Euphoria came the biggest pilot, or I guess ever since HBO Max. Or I don't know. It's something weird. I have to look at it again. Complex broke it, but I think that House of Dragons is going to do big numbers for that first episode. For sure.
Well, that kind of leads me to my main question, guys, is I personally don't think it's possible for this show to ever be as big as Game of Thrones was in terms of the general public. But I do think it can be half of what that show was, maybe even 2/3 of what that show was in terms of how where it stands in just like public eye and how popular it is. How big do you guys think the show needs to be for it to be successful on a global level, for them to be able to do their 5 to 7 seasons that they want to do?
I get nervous about these spinoffs. Period. I'm a big fan of Sons of Anarchy, and I was really excited for Mayans, and I was intrigued.
Oh
First
no,
few
dude!
episodes.
When did you get off?
A while ago, like probably first season.
Oh no, you need to follow through to season 2, man.
Maybe.
Sam Crow. Sam Crow.
What are they on? Are they on 2?
Yeah. The whole all season 2 basically is their storyline.
So I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what they need to do. I think the fan base for Game of Thrones is so big. I don't know if they have anything to worry about. I really don't. I don't. Now, if their goal is to be bigger, or which I doubt it, I don't know. I really don't think they have anything to worry about, in my opinion. That's just me.
I think they have a lot to worry about. I think that most people, average Joe, who was a fan of Game of Thrones, that last season was so polarizing. Either you loved it or you hated it. And if you hate it, you're not going to look deep enough to realize that, the original team has nothing to do with this. This isn't it is a director from the original series who was talented, but this isn't D&D. It's a different creative staff. Like, there's probably a lot of writer overlap. I'm not denying that.
Writer and crew overlap.
But
sure.
There's always going to be that, though. I mean, television is one of the most incestuous businesses out there as far as, writing and production staffs go from project to project on the same network, especially. But, they're not going to give it a shot that they should because they got burned. So it's not going to be, it's not going to be a water cooler show.
I don't know. I don't believe that. I don't think that that's going to be the case. I mean, because I think
it'll be a water cooler show, but I don't think it will be the water cooler show, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
As disappointed as people were with that final season, I don't know if that's going to be enough to hold them off to at least check this out.
Well, I'm not saying that won't happen, but I'm saying the effect won't last. Like, yes, okay, people are going to check it out, but it's not going to have the same effect because it's not.
You got to remember, sorry to cut you off, Johnny. You need to remember, just everybody needs to remember, the number one reason why that last season's so divisive, even though, I'll be honest, I like the story we got in season 8. It is rushed and it is not what they promised, but the story was fine. I didn't have like a bad gripe with what happened in it. But the reason most people are pissed off about it is Daenerys and the dragons, specifically the last 2 seasons, and them getting 2 of the 3 getting killed off. And this show is literally all about Daenerys's people and all about the dragons. The bad news is they're all going to get killed off eventually. We know that from Game of Thrones, but like, if they want a connection like that again, I'm not saying it's going to be as strong as that. It's a good way to try to heal the wound, and I see why they passed over that last series to make sure that this was the first one that they brought to light.
I always find it's crazy that people didn't see that coming a little bit. Like, Daenerys was going crazy for a while. Yep. She was starting to be like, every time someone was starting, one of her advisors were like, okay, I think you need to do this. She was like, fuck that. We're going to burn the people alive. And they were like, maybe you could. And she's like, nope, I don't listen to you guys anymore. And it was like, you guys didn't kind of see that coming, that she was going to be insane. It mentions at the very start, season 1, they're like, all her people turn out crazy. Like, it's a genetic thing.
Or half them do flip a coin, and what side does it land?
Yeah. But it's like, it's having dementia run in your family. Like, not everyone's going to get it, but if it runs in your family, and I mean, I can say this because, I have a couple in my family. So, but like some people have a genetic predisposition to going crazy, and she definitely did.
I thought they showed it though, like really early on too. Like, everybody who's like so upset about her turn at the end, they think that was done on a whim. It's like, there were signs as early as like late season 1, midway through season 2, that this was at least a possibility. And then she says it about a dozen more times along the journey. I'm going to take Westeros with, fire and whatever if I have to. So
Yeah.
it's not till season 6 when she starts like really getting to know Tyrion, where it's not about like just taking over and it becomes about breaking the wheel. That's when they introduce that stuff.
See, I think that was the problem with her story. Not so much that the character wasn't predisposed to, I don't want to say go bad crap crazy, because I mean, she was the the product of, hundreds of generations of inbreeding.
Johnny's favorite thing.
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
But, it just, the problem was, and I know this is going to sound awful, but the problem was Tyrion. Because by the time he got there, he was so fuck the system, fuck everybody but me, that he,
I think he was
he poisoned the well. There was no saving her. The problem wasn't just the Red Keep. The problem was all of Westeros. The problem was all of King's Landing. Everybody's the problem. Everybody's awful. Everybody's horrible. My sister, my brother, my father, everybody's terrible but me. He painted that image so long and so much in Daenerys' ear that by the time she got there, the entirety of King's Landing was the problem. It wasn't just burn the Red Keep and be done with it like she'd done in Quarth. Quarth is the example of where she gets things right. Chop off the snake and chop off the head of the snake and let, everything else fix itself like she did in Quarth. But by the time she got to King's Landing, it was just burn it all down and start new. And that's because it was so opposite of the way she'd been before that nobody looks around at the people whispering in her ear. And I think a big part of that is, as crazy as it sounds, is Jorah was gone for a long period of that. He was no longer her conscience.
His absence was definitely felt.
Huge. It was huge. Daenerys was suddenly going from listening to Jorah, whose picture painted was, I did an awful thing, but the world can be redeemed. I can be redeemed. Anyone can be redeemed. And then you have Tyrion come in and Varys, who had very different images of the world. And, they were very much, it's all about how, Varys was very much, how do I make things better for myself? I don't care about anyone else, but how do I improve my standing and my everything? And Tyrion was just, and I don't mean to, like, he was more that than Jorah was. He was more about himself than he was everybody else. He had his spies, and they were important to him, but the general population, not so much.
Sean, I just want to ask you a question, get your opinion on it. Do you think this first season will do big? The first season will do bigger numbers than the first season of The Witcher?
Oh, it won't even be close.
And the only reason I asked that is because not everybody, I feel like a lot more people have Netflix than access to HBO Max.
I'm not talking like an opening week thing, because it's going to be a streaming deal and all that. But when you give it a few months to breathe and you watch, how many people have watched each episode, I think The Witcher in the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks did 76 million.
It's going to come down to the hook. And
one of the big hooks for them is your boy there.
No, absolutely. But, I mean, if you compare Game of Thrones to The Witcher, and that's a good comparison, is that, Game of Thrones latched itself onto the winter is coming. Winter is coming. It was always about the catchphrases. Each season had a catchphrase of some variety that the people could regurgitate and latch onto, and you could put on a fancy t-shirt. The Witcher had a song, and it captured the hearts of so many people. How many times did you hear random people just walking around, mumbling, toss a coin to your Witcher? It went beyond the zeitgeist into just general stuff.
I've literally never heard that before.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like The Witcher, but it's not even close to being on the same ground.
I'm saying that as far as the hook goes, it had a hook that captured the people. It had something that people were able to latch onto. And that's kind of what, in the social media area, people require that.
Yeah, I just wanted your opinion on that because I obviously I don't think it will ever be on Witcher's will ever be on the level Game of Thrones is, but this spinoff, how is this going to do compared to? I guess you could say it's what it's going to be its counterpart going forward because I don't see The Witcher ending anytime soon with the numbers that it's putting up.
No, and it's not going to as long as they don't piss off Henry Cavill. So
that is true.
I think his love for the series will cure a lot of ills as far as Netflix goes. Like, if he gets pissed off, the person who pisses him off is the one getting fired.
Henry Cavill is fucking getting paid. Like,
well, not just that, he has a legitimate love of the source material.
For sure, he does for Mass Effect too, and it sounds like he might end up being in that as well. And it's like, oh my god, like forget your movie career. If you're in both of those series, when are you going to have time to do anything else?
At this point, we've kind of reached that point now where television is the thing to do. It's not movies.
For sure.
Like, unless you can be The Rock, you want to, get famous and then go to TV.
I think that's fair.
Because I mean, even like The Rock, I mean, I'm not saying that he only does great films because
he even does TV too. I mean,
yeah. There's. I mean, he's. I don't even know what 3 years in a row the guy who made the most money in the business as far as acting overall. So I mean,
with like 10 years, he's taken on the highest overall, right? Like
yeah, overall. So you got to think.
Hasn't he passed Harrison at this point, who was that guy before?
Yeah,
he's done movies. He had shows that I haven't even seen. So I mean, he's all over the place. His I mean, come on, man, that dude's pulling in money. You got to think about his workout line, his energy drink, his tequila. I mean, that man is
he's doing okay.
In money.
Yeah, oh yeah. I feel like he's like on par with where Arnold was in the 90s, where it was just like,
oh, he's bigger than that.
I mean, he's not the Repo Man, but who's counting? Anyway, let's actually, before we do Tommy, let me ask you this, man. I feel like you're a casual Game of Thrones fan. I don't think you're a diehard, but you certainly were passionate about it while watching it. For you, who I think falls under the category of like just an average fan, where's your excitement level for another Game of Thrones series?
Was this a question for me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, you said before you get to me, so like I don't know what the fuck you're asking me. Well, I'll just go fuck myself. Okay. So yeah, when I was going through Game of Thrones, I was really into it. It was, I was going through a seasonal weekend, sometimes crazy stuff like that. And this wasn't a time when I had, a heaping load of free time. I made time. I wanted to keep watching and just keep on going and talk about it, that sort of thing. And I came in real late to the series. I caught up, and then I watched the last season as it was being released.
I did the same thing.
So, am I excited? I'm not someone who can, spout every freaking character's name. I can't tell you all the different houses. I can, name some of them, but all the different factions, whatever, I can't do it. I've never put that much, amount of energy, fandom, geekiness, whatever into it. But it's something I really enjoyed. And so, yeah, casual fan is definitely where I would throw myself at. Where do I stand with this upcoming series? I still got issues with HBO Max. I don't have it. I may get it, but they did some good with, they dumped down the price a little bit. They said, okay, we'll give you an ad option. And I think it's slightly more than what Netflix is a month. It might be like $1 more or something like that.
It's $14.99 a month. And I will tell you,
I thought $14.99 a month was the ad-free plan, and $9.99, $10 was ad-less.
You're right. It is that, and it's still the same. Now, and while you're talking about HBO Max problems, I love HBO Max's content that they have on there. But that app, if anybody has that app or just that streaming service, period, it's slow. It lags a lot. and it crashes a lot. So they need to get that fixed, because however long HBO Max has been out now, it's been like that since day one, and it still hasn't been fixed. So that's my biggest issue with HBO Max.
Yeah, I remember that was a real issue. You know what they
is.
did do is they got the rights to a lot of cool content, and that brought a lot of people over and that sort of thing. But I don't remember because I think I had a trial of it. I don't remember that being a good experience at all. I was just I talked about this in one of our chats the other day. I had a conversation with a coworker about the upcoming Game of Thrones series, and he basically said he couldn't give a shit. Doesn't fucking care. He was burned with the last season. He felt he was a day one viewer. He fell out at about season 2 or 3. Came back later on, and just especially the last season, didn't like it. Felt real soured over it. Not really like an entitlement, like it was owed to him sort of thing. Just like, oh, it was disappointing to me. So with the way this was done, I don't know if I'm really excited over this new project sort of thing. He felt like they failed in bringing it all together, despite how long of a story it is and how it all came together at the end of the day last season.
Endings are hard. I mean, it is hard to bring everything full circle and then bring it to a close. But just remember this: there's a lot of people that shit on Dan and Dave, and I think to an extent some of it's deserved, because they gave their word about something and didn't necessarily follow through with what they'd promised. But don't forget, this show was never ever supposed to get to a point where it wasn't based off anything but the books. George R.R. Martin had all the time in the world. It's literally like 5 pages into the book that Kieran got me for my birthday, where they start talking about how the intent was to always be, as TV seasons went, George would finish the books and then they would be caught up. And not only, I think he's only produced 1 book since the series started. I could be wrong about that, Johnny. You might have a better lock on the times, but I'm pretty sure he only came out with 1 book since the series started. And the series first aired, I think it was 2010 or 2009.
Yeah, A Dance with Dragons was released in 2011.
So, like, at the end of the day, people can throw their pitchforks at Dan and Dave all they want, but that was not the agreement that was made to begin with. And if you run out of source material, you get to work off of Cliff Notes, and that's what you got. So, anyways, we need to get moving on here. We're going to have to cut our Star Wars segment from this week. I think we're going to be doing Star Wars Fandom next week, so Kieran and I can talk about it on that one. So we'll get Mike and Tommy out of here. Mike, where can everybody find you at, man?
You can follow me on Twitter at @MichaelBish_ and on Instagram at @MBish_.
Awesome, man. Good shit. Good shit. I hope you enjoy Scream this week, you lucky son of a bitch.
I'm a big fan, but I promise I'll give my honest opinion on it. So
awesome. Good stuff. Tommy Bizzle, where can everybody find you at, man?
At TommyB1650, Twitter and Instagram, and around the Fandom Empire Den, all those good places on Facebook.
And just so we're clear, we won't be finding you at any...
No, don't fucking do that. No. Fuck.
You lined yourself up for that one, sir.
Always fucking twisting my fucking words.
Oh, boy. Alrighty, that's going to do it for Mike Bish and Tommy B. For the rest of you guys that are still tuning in right now, it's wrestling from here on out. Joining us from the Inside Handoff Football Podcast, it's Johnny's co-host. It's Jared. What's going on, man?
Hello. Can you guys hear me okay? Are we good? All right. I'm
not
fantastic.
happy about it.
Yeah. Oh, you look thrilled. Nice shirt. You lose a bet.
I hope
this is my vacation outfit.
I can tell.
Looks like something Terrence would wear.
I stumbled back upon Terrence's TikTok yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his one video that he posted 6 months ago and hasn't posted a single thing since. So if you guys hear from him, tell him to produce more content. Stop being a lazy bitch.
I'm not on like a first name basis with him. We don't talk a lot. Johnny is though. Him and Johnny are like
No.
He
this.
hasn't.
They're besties.
He hasn't. I don't think he's been around since that. Since that video was, I think, the last thing I heard of him before he went to go. He went to go see Dune with Sean and then disappeared.
Yeah, we don't talk about Terrence.
He got arrested for being indecent in his car in the Cineplex parking lot.
Well, I thought that was Tommy.
Oh, he didn't make it into the theater.
He didn't even make it in the theater this time.
Oh man. So it's been a while since we got to talk wrestling. And I wanted to bring Jer on, and it's fun talking wrestling with you guys. It's been cool the last really few years, minus the no audience portion, which I just can't do. It's been nice to have like my love for wrestling reinvigorated again. I never thought it would happen. Thought it was gone somewhere with a fucking shotgun Saturday night Repo Man versus Doink match or something. I'm sure it didn't happen, but
that's two completely
different
wrong. That's two guys from the early '90s on a show from the.
He's off by 5 years.
mid-90s.
That's okay.
That's just
let him have it.
That's how non-knowledgeable I am.
You missed Triple H being hit with a tombstone on an escalator going down a New York subway.
It's been fun. It's been fun to listen to diehards go at it on Twitter sometimes, and you see super WWE fans being like, "Oh no, fuck AEW," and you see the anti-WWE fans being like, "No, fuck WWE," and it's kind of fun to be alive. I mean, I personally think that there's only one of them producing quality wrestling to watch at the moment, but I don't watch the other thing very much, so it's also unfair of me to put it that way. But just let's bring the focus into AEW. Where are you guys at with the product? Are you guys happy? And just where are you in general with where AEW is right now?
it's an awkward time for me.
Are you guys going to say anything but happy? What the hell?
No. It's awkward because they kind of closed all the doors on certain things that, ending Bryan and Paige on television is fine, but you don't have next man up.
The wrong guy won, damn it.
I mean, I said it in one of the, I think it was on the Discord server during, was it Dynamite, I think, that Adam Page to me is Ricky Steamboat. He's great on the chase, and watching the chase is great, but once you reach the peak, it's just kind of, okay, what's next?
Did I see him advertised for Dark tonight?
He is on Dark tonight, yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
6-man.
Wow.
It was taped as part of the Battle of the Belts match. Since he didn't have an opponent for Battle of the Belts, he's in a 6-man on Dark.
Gotcha. That's cool. That's neat.
I think Johnny's got a point. Everything this summer was so hot because you had the destination at Full Gear. Everything was building to that, and that was kind of the big culmination of everything. So now they've kind of hit reset, and they've got 5 months in between pay-per-views. And I mean, Battle of the Belts is what it is. It's whatever. It's an hour TV show. It's not exactly, all eyes on us, although apparently the rating was good. It's kind of a dead period, but I mean, it's different in the way they use TV, because TV kind of has certain pay-per-view elements to it. I mean, Winter is Coming, obviously being one of their bigger shows. I mean, Holiday Bash is whatever, and New Year's Smash is whatever. But like now it feels like, okay, they've kind of closed off Hangman and Danielson for now. They've kind of closed off the Best Friends and the Super Click, or whatever they're calling Red Dragon with them. So they've kind of closed a couple doors now. So now they can kind of look forward to the pay-per-view coming up. And I caught something they said on TV last week. I want to say it was Rampage, but Adam Cole is the number 1 ranked contender. And they kind of slid that in and didn't really follow it up. Like they're like, yeah, hey, he's undefeated. He's the number 1 contender. And then they kind of moved on to talking about something else. So I'm thinking that could be where they're going right now, because it's the only logical guy who makes sense. And why would you point out that he's the number 1 contender on TV unless, you start directing Hangman that way, and they got 2 months to get to the pay-per-view, and that's more than enough time to get there. So just a little thing I've figured I think would make sense.
And you're not wrong in that, because you're right. I could actually just quickly pull up the AEW rankings, since they publish the rankings every week. And Adam Cole is currently the number 1 ranked single superstar. However, he has a 2021 record of 0-0. He hasn't been inside the ring yet, which is weird. Because this was January 7th, so I guess that would be okay. So this would be before the Rampage match that aired that night. So he is now 1-0 on the year.
What was his record last year?
Last year he finished 11-4 overall, but that includes tags.
And that's only in 4 months.
Some trio matches, I know. So
yeah,
that's his overall record, not just his singles record.
I mean, coming into the new year, they kind of got to go off, previous year's record until March, April. Then guys have some.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like
MJF will be 0-6.
I love how they do that, by the way, though, because you can. That's how you can have someone lose for a while and whatever, and then next year be like, oh, they're 10-0, and you're like, man, like they're up, like you erase the past pretty good, which is hard to do. A lot of complaints about WWE over the years is it's like, why the fuck is Randy Orton friends with this guy? Like, I have the WrestleMania 28 where they fucking tried to kill each other,
Well, yeah. For example, look at Raw this past Monday, not to pivot, but a good example of that is Alpha Academy, the new Raw Tag Team Champions. Last week they won a match.
November?
Last March.
So really that long? I thought it was November.
Oh, it might have been November.
I heard they were like 0-11 or something like that.
Yeah, so they haven't won a match, and then they win one match, and then win the titles the next week. So it just feels like, boom, we flipped the switch, and we don't tell anybody we're flipping the switch. Like, there's no expectation. There's nothing, So AEW at least gives you.
I don't know if that's fair criticism though, because there's not many other guys that work there anymore.
I mean, it's well, I mean, it's not a fair criticism just based on the fact of rankings don't mean squat there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could lose 100 matches in a row, and if you get lucky once, then all of a sudden you're the number 1 contender. Like, what? Huh?
I mean, it's okay because even in
it can make
UFC,
a good storyline.
Even in the UFC, they do that quite often, though, right? So, and that's obviously not predetermined, unless you're our friend Mark. They do that too. They promote big fights, and they're like, oh, this person lost 2 in a row, but someone else dropped out, and we throw in this exciting contender that people just like to see. So I'm okay with that. But I do like the point I was making was I do like that AEW does it in a way that they can give you some proof and be like, oh, hey, he's 5-0 this year.
I really like, just like as an average viewer, I really like that like the top guys, the guys that are like it. I'm like just making this record up off the top of my head, but like, CM Punk later this year, probably going to be something like, 21-2 or 21-3, or Adam Cole will be that, or Bryan Danielson will be 52-1 or something. And I like that the top guys win that much, even though it's expected. And I know WWE does this now with Roman Reigns, but like I haven't seen that for wrestling in a long, long time where like, I know there's months before we've seen where Triple H lost multiple times on live TV to the same guy, I think on back-to-back weeks. So it's like, that would never happen. And well, I'm not saying that would never happen, but I just like that, you're not seeing the top guys lose a lot. And it gives room for, I don't know, Sammy Guevara to be like, okay, Guevara, a year from now, be like, okay, maybe he's not a champion, but he's 9-0, and they can, build him up to like a title match at like Winter is Coming, just a TV one, but he can still have his
that brings up another point I love though is the fact the reason they get those records that way is because they brought back the squash match. They have guys come on TV and they just get to show you their shtick. CM Punk can come on and fight. He could wrestle nobody. But Daniel Bryan, perfect. He went through all the Dark Order. No, he wasn't going to lose to any of those guys. We knew he wasn't going to lose to any of those guys. It furthered the story, and he got to finish them all with a different submission, doing the flex, and he made it really good. But like a lot of times, in recent, well, I guess WWE, because they're the only ones you really compare to, but they would always have superstars that were, on the same level fighting each other all the time. The lower card guys fought the lower card guys, the mid card guys fought the mid card guys. And the big guys, they gave away their matches on TV. They had a 10-minute match on TV, a 10-minute match on TV, a 10-minute tag team match on TV. And then when they fought each other on the pay-per-view, it went 30 minutes. And you're like, why were they weren't really interested in TV? Did they get paid by the hour on pay-per-views? And, but on Dynamite, very rarely do they have, on Rampage, they'll usually have one big match. On Dynamite, they have one or two where they're kind of something you would see on pay-per-view, and the rest is all things that can further the story, but you probably know who's going to win, when you see Powerhouse Hobbs, on the rise and he fights fucking Fuego del Sol, he's probably not going to lose.
I can tell you, like, younger wrestling fans who are primarily focused on WWE, I'm speaking specifically of my oldest son, like, he didn't get why Wardlow, we watched a couple of Wardlow matches in a row, and he's like, why did you skip that guy's entrance? And I'm like, no, I didn't skip his entrance. He's already in the ring. And he didn't understand why the guy was already in the ring. Although he finds Sean Spears hilarious with the chair. So, I mean, how can I not love the kid? So
that's fantastic.
I mean, to bring us back around, because that train...
that Sean Spears is stand today, thanks to chairs.
Wait, you didn't?
You didn't know? I thought you knew that.
No. You've clearly forgotten. I've told you that before. I told you that when he started showing up as the Perfect 10.
I knew who he was there as the Perfect 10 dude. What was it? Was it Ty? No, not Ty Dillinger.
Yes.
Something Dillinger. Ty Dillinger.
It was Ty Dillinger. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but thing was just to bring us back to where we started before this train went wholly and solely off the rails, back to Adam Cole being the next man up. I don't think he can be right now, because they have to pay off this whole Young Bucks versus Red Dragon thing first. Now, I mean, they could sort of tie the two in together with Cole getting his shot and that being the reason he doesn't win the belt. Maybe, but I mean, I guess, the Booker brain in me says, okay, I can see this and actually book it out in a good way that makes sense. You build Adam Cole up, you make him the next man up, you keep the Red Dragon and the Young Bucks tension up, and then the Red Dragon go full heel and be like, we're going to cheat to win. And the Young Bucks, who clearly teased the babyface turn back when Cole won the belt by refusing, to interfere on the buckshot lariat and refusing to do that stuff and standing in his corner, which was a big deal. Can Matt finally make that turn and be like, no? I actually make the match happen one-on-one where Cole loses. But I don't know. I mean,
Moxley's coming back soon too, right? And didn't I read that he's only a few weeks
He is scheduled to make his first appearance back at the GCW Hammerstein show,
which is
January
23rd.
That's his first. Now, granted, he could show up on Dynamite prior to that, but that's his first known appearance in the ring post rehab. So yes, he is due for a return sometime in this month.
So let me ask you guys this: I want to turn things to CM Punk for a second, because why not? He's still going to lose to Wardlow tomorrow night, is he not? Are we going to see Wardlow beats Punk, maybe dirty, and Spears gets in? Because I feel like they've been building the Spears chair thing up for like 2 fucking months now, where Wardlow's just going to fucking fold him up into a pretzel. Is this eventually leading, obviously the big ones, Punk versus MJF, but is this leading up to Punk and Wardlow versus Spears and MJF?
I think they could go in that direction as once they do the turns and everything.
I don't mean like any stable shit either.
I don't know. I don't think that would be like the main goal, but I could see that happening once they do the turn and everything kind of goes the way it's going at the moment, and they do the Wardlow turn, and then Wardlow's babyface. Well, here's Spears. Well, okay, Punk needs a partner, so on and so forth. But I mean, okay, I'm on the fence with what they're going to do, but I think Wardlow is going to beat Punk, because if you beat Wardlow right now with a guy like Punk, Punk doesn't need to beat Wardlow. It doesn't do anything for Punk. Wardlow beating Punk shoots Wardlow to the moon.
Punk's also kind of owed the loss after the MJF thing last week.
Exactly. Well, actually, here's a fun statistic, because it got me thinking about the Wardlow Punk match. But Tony Khan tweeted last week over the Shawn Dean MJF match. The first wrestler in 140 episodes of AEW TV to ever win a match by disqualification. They have never done a disqualification on TV until that moment.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
In this day and age.
In any day and age. I mean.
Yeah, because I mean it's a bit of a crutch, but you can use it. But that made me think like, okay, they're not going to do a fuck finish for Punk and Wardlow. Wardlow might be.
They're saving that for something big. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
One of these pay-per-views, I think maybe even as soon as the next one, we're going to have a dusty finish that's just going to blow everyone's mind, because AEW doesn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, yeah, we've back pocketed the dusty finish for so long that here it is.
Right? If you protect things long enough, then.
I still think it's more likely that Wardlow shows that he's able to beat Punk, and then who knows, maybe Spears fucks him over inadvertently or something.
I don't think that's this one. I think Wardlow gets the win, but it's not a clean win. I think Spears in the chair still get involved.
Could be something like that where it's like, you won because Spears helped you, and then it's.
I'm almost even going to call the spot. It's going to be one of those Irish whips, Spears with the chair to the back into the Wardlow powerbomb, and that's the finish. The ref just doesn't see the chair. I'm predicting that's the finish, and then we can build up eventually to the Punk. I'll beat Wardlow, and when I beat Wardlow, you're next, and it's going to be you and me one-on-one at Revolution. I think that's the way it goes, and that's when Wardlow finally says, "I'm done." And I don't think everybody's expecting Wardlow to turn face. No, that's not. Wardlow's not a baby face, guys. He's not.
I think they're kind of. Everybody thinks he's just going to go the way like Batista turning on.
This is the beauty. This is the beauty of AEW.
Feels like.
This is the beauty of AEW, where everybody's like face heel, face heel, face heel. AEW is like, no, you're what we need you to be to tell the story we're telling. And Bryan Danielson is the prime example of that. He is a heel, but once this whole angle has played its course, he's not still going to be a heel.
He's still going to be a heel in Virginia.
We all just really want to see him kick the shit out of Stan. Sorry, Sean.
Oh, that's absolutely going to happen.
Yes.
He's going to kick the crap out of MJF, but I'm predicting, and it's one of those crazy things, but I think the Wardlow MJF match that is inevitably going to happen is going to happen in a very specific building. And it's going to be the UBS Center in Long Island, the one building in all of the United States where MJF is going to be treated like a god, because that's the building that match makes the most sense in. MJF doesn't have to change his character one iota, and he's still the babyface. And Wardlow can still be Wardlow because he is a monster and he needs to eat. Now, granted, he needs a new mouthpiece. Who that'll be, I have no idea. I'm hoping somebody new. I don't want it to be somebody.
Not doing anything.
I'd like a mouthpiece that doesn't make me angry, and I think there is a guy who's sitting on the sidelines who a lot of people have forgotten about, who might actually make sense here. And that's Jake.
Not Braun fucking Strowman. Oh.
No, I'm saying Jake. He's sitting on the outside, not doing anything. And I think Jake would be a good guy to work with Wardlow because, A, he cuts an amazing promo still, and he can get that type of character over very well. Or you can even go in a third direction and have, somebody else in the NWA chain come back and take on that role, because there are definitely a lot of guys out there who could very easily help a monster get over.
So Well, first of all, Kieran, you've been pretty quiet. Do you have anything you want to throw out there, AEW wise?
No, I'm good. We're pretty on track with what I'm saying. I interrupted a few times. I think I've talked on this more than you.
So where's Danielson go now? Because I really thought that I know Paige just got the belt, but I really thought that Danielson should have won that match with him being. I know, it's a bunch of people's different gimmick to the best in the world thing, but like they were really pushing him as the best in the world there when he joined the company, and thought it would have been cool to see that continue for quite some time.
I don't know what's going to happen next, but I mean his whole start of the whole thing with Hangman was him saying that he was like, I thought Omega was going to be here. So I don't know when Omega's coming back or when that happens, but that's obviously that's been teased already. He was like, you beat Kenny Omega? Like I was expecting to face Kenny Omega for the title, but here you are. And it was like
the time limit.
It was out there. It was like, it wasn't like a subtle thing either. It was, as soon as that happened, I put a little bookmark in there and said like, okay, well that's happening.
Man, I don't know what baby faces they could really put with main event Danielson.
It's a question of where they want it to go, who they want to give the rub to next. Because really, Danielson is going to work with whoever he wants to, really. I mean, that's the important thing that his entire run has shown is that Bryan pretty much cherry picks his opponents. Rocky Romero's coming in for a night. I'm wrestling Rocky because he's an old buddy. I've known him for 30 years, and I love the guy. I'm going to wrestle Rocky tonight. And Tony just says, sure thing, Bryan. Let's make a graphic.
It sucks because everyone I want to see Danielson work right now is busy in another program like Daniel Garcia or Kyle O'Reilly. And I mean, there's nobody in the Best Friends I'd really want to see.
What's Darby doing at the moment?
I guess Darby and Andrade are starting something.
Yeah, they're starting something up. I mean, to me, there's a guy kicking around that I would pay great money to see work with Bryan Danielson.
If you fucking say Peter Avalon.
I'm not going to say Peter Avalon. I love Pretty Peter, but no. My answer is the guy that, has been a topic of conversation because a certain man from Kentucky thinks that he is being heavily underutilized. And while I don't disagree, I think this is an angle that could be really damn awesome. That's Jay Lethal. You were Ring of Honor, then I was Ring of Honor. And it's the right time to do it with Ring of Honor kind of being out of focus, and you can kind of bring them in a little bit into this as far as the history of the company goes. Jay Lethal versus Bryan Danielson. Which one of us is really Ring of Honor?
Or they just bring in Jonathan Gresham and we get what we really want out of this whole fucking thing.
I'll admit when, if not for the pure storyline of Gresham versus Jay Lethal, I was really hoping you were going to, get that moment where you want to fight for the classic belt? Well, okay, that's my belt, baby.
I was so disappointed when Danielson showed up in the video.
Got released.
He still got his 90-day though. So I mean,
yeah,
that's a summer thing.
Just get him and Punk and Austin Aries and have a big rumble.
Gargano is probably coming in like a week and a half. So
what you mean? Because he's getting the itch again?
So let me ask you guys this. I brought up this. I don't want to say I was the first to bring it up because I only brought it up because I heard it on a YouTube video somewhere. But I've seen talk about AEW All Out again, possibly in a bigger venue. Well, is the bigger venue just going to be? Forgive me if I got this wrong. Is it the Allstate Arena where Punk debuted?
Yeah.
Is it just going to be that, or are we talking Soldier Field?
No.
Beginning of September before the NFL starts. That's
not before the NFL starts.
Yeah, it is.
Nope. Preseason had already started. They may even have a game that day.
Oh, well, these venues turn things around really quickly. That's what they're paid for. If they do a stadium show, I don't know if it's too early.
No, it's not there. It's not that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Johnny. I can't even imagine.
I think the first stadium show, and I'll say it again, is going to be not this year because the world kind of got tipped back on its head again. But I think next year it's Double or Nothing, at Reliant or Allegiant or whatever that stadium is in Vegas. Is it Reliant Stadium or Allegiant or whichever one the Raiders play at in Vegas?
Yeah.
I can't help the stadiums in the NFL played name roulette where, one year that's the stadium in Texas, the next year that's the stadium in Las Vegas, one year it's the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, and the next year it's in Atlanta and it's the Mercedes-Benz Dome or whatever.
It's worse than the bowl games, worse than the college football bowl games.
I mean, they've got a stadium in Jacksonville they could probably use for free.
You're not wrong about that. I mean, that is a distinct possible. But where would they go? I mean, to this point, all of the big pay-per-views have cities. You have All Out in Chicago. You have Double or Nothing in Vegas.
Yeah.
The only ones without homes are obviously Revolution in February. And obviously, it's not like the Jags are ever going to be playing there in February. They could probably have one there in January and the Jags wouldn't be playing there. But I digress. That's another thing.
Well, I felt bad for them.
You only have Full Gear and Revolution, the only two pay-per-views that don't have a home as far as city goes.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to do one of those. And
are we getting to a point where you guys mentioned pay-per-views earlier in terms of them not being like a lot of them? I think Jared said there was 5 months in between them. Are we at a point now, a few years into the company, where I'm not saying it needs to be one a month, but like, is it time to bring a couple more pay-per-views on board?
No. Because that's how you end up with WWE syndrome. If you look at storytelling,
some people know though, dude.
I get that, but I mean, if you look at storytelling in every major promotion that had monthly pay-per-views, it took a nosedive. WCW stopped telling good stories when they switched to monthly pay-per-views. WWE stopped telling long-term storyline. When you're building up, every 3.5 weeks, you have to have a new pay-per-view caliber main event. That's nearly
WWE
impossible.
does 3 and,
But I mean, if you go back to, when they first started the monthly pay-per-views, when they changed, like when they first started the In Your Houses, they were just meant to be bridge pay-per-views.
Yeah.
They weren't meant to be big, but by the time you get to 97 and 98 is when they truly made the change. Once they started, early 97, they started subtitling the In Your Houses and giving them sub names and catch names. And before that, it had just been whatever else was on the card. That'd be what it was called. But you started giving them names that stuck, and then suddenly the In Your House name disappeared, and then you have monthly pay-per-views that require individual storytelling. There was no long-term storytelling.
Several of the In Your Houses were like tag team finals, right? Like the main event was a tag team match that was like, it eventually got switched to, they did it 2 nights before the pay-per-view on Raw. They would do the tag team match that had, either 2 matches put into a tag team, or the 2 guys who were going to face each other had to be a tag team for that night. Like that became a thing to do on Raw, whereas before it was a thing to do on, at In Your House to make that kind of setup matches and things like that.
In Your House started, you'd announce the next pay-per-view main event at that event. So you'd have the full month to do it, but eventually it reached a point where you weren't doing that. You'd have to start the storyline the next night on Raw, and then you'd only have, 3, sometimes 4 episodes of Raw before you got to the next pay-per-view, and you'd have to build a whole new angle in that time. And
it is nice. They have those tiers that you have now where it's like the actual, the All Out and the Full Gear and those things, that's tier 1. You're going to get matches that you even between competitors, you might see them on one of the Winter's Coming type of shows. But the matches that you get when you pay for it, the pay-per-view, they know that they're saving things for that. They know that like we can do a match this good, but we're going to wait till pay-per-view for that one. You get the lower tier, and then you get, events, Holiday Bash and things like that, which are not really that much more than a regular Dynamite or the TBS launch. They gave us some really good matches, obviously.
But they're not afraid of giving you that pay-per-view caliber main event on TV, though.
They're not, but I feel like the pay-per-view ones are all like a little bit better all the time.
It's because they're not cutting the commercial all the time either, though.
That probably helps.
Yeah.
I mean, the Daniel Bryan matches are obviously like, I think both of those were an exception. They were, but I think normally when like the pay-per-view comes up, I think I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna see something ridiculous right then. And I don't think, other than the Daniel Bryan matches, I can't think
he's just so
anything else
fun
that's
to
happened
watch.
like that.
Like I legitimately didn't like any of Daniel Bryan's WWE run. Keep in mind I didn't see most of it, but I seen the beginning of the Yes Movement, and there was some him and Kane stuff I didn't mind, but I also seen his little no thing, and I don't know. I never seen him in WWE. I was like, oh, I can't wait to watch this match. It's Daniel Bryan.
The jerk, the vegan whole thing was great. I thought that
the cardboard belt or whatever. I didn't see it.
That was the closest to what we have of him in AEW, where he's a good guy to some, but he's definitely a heel. And he was just like, because it's the same "I'm better than you" people type of attitude that he has now. He's just like, when he comes into AEW, he's like, I come from WWE, like I was the best there, like I'm way better than you guys. I don't know why, like that kind of cockiness, like I'm way bigger time than any of you guys in here. Like I don't know.
I've main evented WrestleMania. What are you?
Yeah, like you guys are nothing to me, and that was it. And that's kind of the character that he's brought in so far, which it doesn't necessarily make him a bad guy.
He's not wrong about any of it. That's the hard part.
Oh yeah,
like he's very justified in everything he says as a heel. So it's like, fuck that motherfucker, but he's right.
Yeah, well, it's not like he's running around giving people chair shots and stuff. He's wrestling very violently in the ring and stomping people's heads in. But like, you could do that. It's not any different than Randy Orton stomping on everyone's fingers and ankles, and like you can do that. So he's not like a heel in a way where he has to cheat to win. He has to whatever. Like he's a legitimate, like
he's arrogant. Like he's way over the top arrogant right now.
If you still like Daniel Bryan, then he can still be your face. Like he could still be like, you don't have to be like, oh, he's a heel, I don't really like cheering for a guy who does all this bullshit. He still could be a face for the people who are Daniel Bryan fans, and obviously a heel because of how cocky and how much of an asshole he is.
I just absolutely, I mean, there's so many people I love watching, but if someone, told me a couple years ago even that I would be watching CM Punk again and Bryan Danielson and some guy who I never seen any of his WWE stuff, but I love him in AEW, Malachi Black, like that whole fucking gimmick I dig. I hope he does not get stuck at mid-card, because that, for me, he screams main event. And I'm just having so much fun watching so many different people that it's like I have to see AEW on Wednesday nights, right? Like I never thought I'd say like that about wrestling again. Which kind of brings me to my next topic, though, which we usually don't talk about on here. Can anybody, please, anybody, and please don't do the you guys are way smarter than everybody else in the room thing. What the fuck is going on with WWE? Because we've never seen this ever in our lifetimes. What's going on with them right now in the way that they're handling? Like, I know there's industry experts, and I don't mean wrestling industry experts. I mean business experts that are like, well, they're shedding payroll. They're going to sell, or they're going to bring in a new investor or whatever. And I have no idea. Can anybody explain it? Because I've never seen anything like this.
Their source of income has changed. And what I mean by that is TV contracts are at a rate of $200 million per year per show right now. And they sold the WWE Network content to Peacock in the States for $500 million over a year span, or what? There was a contract there, obviously, but their revenue stream now is so locked into TV deals that they couldn't give a fuck if people buy the network for $10 to see, Extreme Rules or whatever the fuck. It's so distanced from the product itself that they don't need to care what they present on TV. I mean, they obviously care, or at least try to.
Network pressure eventually.
Exactly, and they got network pressure back. They changed the Hell in a Cell month. It was like July or something this year. Whenever, when was Hell in a Cell this year or last year? Does somebody know? Like, I don't know. Like go with July. Yeah. Okay. So SmackDown got a Hell in a Cell match on Fox, the Rey Mysterio Roman Reigns match. USA was hot about it and said, no, why does Fox get this big main event Hell in a Cell match? No, we want one. So the night after the pay-per-view, Raw get the Hell in a Cell match. So they're not and it's like Kieran said, like they have new masters. The TV are obviously the ones paying the bills and giving that influx of cash for this content, and they want to have a hand in what this content is now. So it's a completely different world, I guess, based on the WWE structure, that it's not what it used to be. And I mean, NXT got completely flipped on its head. All of Triple H's guys that he hired and brought in to run NXT, they're all out the door. The new writing staff just got confirmed in the past day or two, and they answer to the same head writing staff of Raw and SmackDown. So it's all under the same umbrella now. It's all Bruce Pritchard's doing, and Kevin Dunn getting in people's ears, and it's all, there's nothing different about any of it anymore. It's all the same force-fed. When you watch it, well, yeah, I mean, some people like it, and hey, if that's your cup of tea, go ahead, enjoy it, and I feel bad for you, but
brand recognition in history goes a long way, though. Like, those are big money TV deals you're talking about, and I know AEW's new TV deal was worth a lot of money, but still very minuscule compared to these numbers. Is it not?
Absolutely. And one caveat that actually AEW did get in the contract was TNT, and I guess TBS now, Turner. The Turner umbrella pays for production of TV every week. WWE does not have that. I mean, it's minuscule, obviously, based on what the monetary deals are for, but it's an interesting little catch, because AEW, when they come to the negotiating table whenever the contract is up next, they can say, hey, we're getting 75 to 80% of what this show on USA Network is getting, and look at what they're making.
And USA Network's in a lot more households and easier accessible. And
I think another thing that important about that is they can put the wrestlers out there and everything like that, and have really great shows, and they can say, like, hey, if you want this to go up, like, put more money into production, like like they're like, look at what we're putting out there, look at what we're doing. If you want to make this thing really sell, if you want to make this thing really go, you put more into production.
The thing that most people aren't thinking anymore is that, people, when they think WWE, they think of old school. They remember the times when the WWE was beholden to the fan base to make their revenue. The eras where live events were the bread and butter. Television was syndication, the live events were bread and butter, and pay-per-views were that cherry on top. Well, that's completely flipped on its head now, and we've shown that with the numbers. I mean, I actually pulled up the numbers because, of course, we don't have 2022 numbers, but for the first 6 months of 2021, the WWE made a profit of $529 million. $475.9 million of that was solely from television distribution. Like, that's
there's your new masters right there.
Exactly. I mean, and that's pre the Peacock deal, which was another, multi-billion-dollar deal to basically shutter the WWE network in the US and put it exclusively on Peacock. Like, those are huge things that, quite frankly, the dollars you spend to go to the arena, they don't care. And that proved its weight by the fact that 2021 was still a profitable year, despite the fact they spent 60% of it in an empty arena.
Yeah, they'd rent a baseball stadium for 6 months or whatever, and build the little arena in there, and that was not their source of profit whatsoever. That was strictly production costs to run a show that they're already being paid for. So, and that was before they cut 90 people or however many they've released last year.
The problem that people are like, oh man, they're cost cutting, they're cutting costs. Well, no, they're saying that.
But I think a lot of people are like, just the amount of releases that have happened. I haven't heard of 90% of these people, but like, seems alarmingly high is what people like. Samoa has been released twice this year, twice in 1 year.
Yeah.
Oh, he was brought back solely as a soft Triple H. I mean, that's really all that boiled down to. Like, but it just I think like some people, and I understand this. Some people say that they're changing NXT so much that they're going to ruin it. They're going to well, okay, but the NXT's not for you. It never was. It was the brand that was used to create talent for Raw and SmackDown. And eventually Triple H got in there and kind of made it into the super indie, which was being used to combat, Ring of Honor and Impact. And then eventually it was their weapon against AEW, which they could never have won that war.
Not the IWC tournament.
Well, I mean, because of the fact that NXT was always presented as the third brand. Your third brand is going up against an entire company's A brand. You're never going to win that battle because this is a brand that had been almost exclusively not on television prior to that. All of a sudden that USA deal came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden we're supposed to be combating. Exactly. Like all of a sudden we're supposed to be combating AEW with all these indie superstars who are not. I love NXT, but the fact is 70% of the WWE audience does not want to watch a 20-minute barn burner. Like they don't care. They don't have the attention span for it. They are, we talk about being predisposed. They are predisposed to the WWE style, which is, if you go more than 5 minutes, you're in the main event. Congratulations.
Well, also another thing about NXT, their viewership, their average age of viewer is like 64. And they completely revamped NXT to appeal to a younger audience, and that younger audience doesn't give a shit because they're not tuning in. This is all old people who want to watch a wrestling program. That's
the problem was the audience that they were catering NXT to was the audience that sat there and said, you know what, I'm going to watch Dynamite live. You're putting NXT on the network tomorrow anyway, so why am I going to watch it? I can watch it tomorrow. They don't care, or the PVR era where you can record on the PVR. That's something they never gave us, was those plus numbers. They never gave us the plus sevens, which are an important barometer in this era of the DVR. So it was never like some people say NXT is never going to get the next indie superstar, because they're not, because the guys being brought up on the indie style are not the guys that are going to get over in the WWE. They're not. And NXT has proven that point time and time again. How many NXT guys in the super indie era?
Is the fan base, though, and how much of it is Vince McMahon? Because there's a lot of content creators out there that will have you believe that it's not that they can't get over with the fan base. It's he can't take his hands off the thing, but.
It's a mix of both, probably. I mean, you
have to be. Right. The problem is that a lot of these guys, they get called up from NXT. They're used to the Triple H way, and the Triple H way is far more. I don't want to say hands off, because that's, if you actually listen to people talk, Triple H was very hands on in production and creating the characters and crafting the entrances. Like if you hear Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux, they both talk about Triple H helping them fine tune their entrance to the nitty gritty detail.
I think
you have Finn Balor talking about Triple H is the one who came up with the pose. He
Same with Nakamura
all
too.
Of that, and Nakamura, all these guys. Triple H is far more hands-on than people want to give him credit for, but he is much more back and forth. Like he'll talk to you, you talk to him, and we'll work this out. But his word was law. Vince is not like that, where there are 15 layers to get to Vince. If you can get into Vince's office and sit one-on-one with the man, you might get somewhere because
I hear what you're saying, and I've heard so many other people say it too. The thing that I don't get then, and I think a lot of people are kind of confused by, is why did Triple H get benched then? Because there's so many other people that are echoing what you're saying, actual performers, and it's not a health thing because he got benched before the health thing. Why?
Well, they both kind of happened so close together that nobody really knows, nobody really knows how long he was dealing with the health issue. Like, we didn't know about it until he had the surgery. Like, that's when we found out, like, whoa, something's not right here. But, we don't know the machinations of how long these things were going and all of that. But they all kind of coalesced into one big giant ball of crap that thrust out at the same time. But the problem with NXT was they went on television. The second they became a television brand, then Vince started to care. Vince had to care because it's on television. You're projecting my image. You're projecting my company's image. And he can't not be involved in that. And that's the problem. Once you start bringing guys up, you're dealing with 10 levels of guys below Vince. You're not dealing with Vince. You're dealing with 10 guys below him, and you're going to lose a lot
yes
of that.
men to Vince. So
I feel like a point on what Johnny was saying. I think, Triple H was like, he's like, here, I'm going to help you get over. Like, I'll help you learn little things to help you get over. Like, as if he was saying, like, here, I'll teach you this stuff. And then you go ahead and you take your character, do what you're doing. You're great. And you go on. Whereas I think Vince is always attached to like we're going to do this and I'm going to, I don't think he would ever want to build someone who could leave as a big star. Like he wants all this stuff to be,
the problem is
his wallet open.
Vince wants to have you and craft you and mold you in his image.
Yeah.
He wants to be the one
Exactly.
to design the character. He wants to be the one to give you the quirks and things like that. Like to the point where if you look at guys who have gotten over going from NXT to WWE, they're not their NXT character. A lot of people point to, Seth and Roman and Dean. Well, guess what? They weren't the Shield in NXT.
Yeah. Yep.
They were nowhere close to that in NXT. Seth has kind of sort of circled back around to a closer character to what he was in NXT, but it's still completely different. I mean,
yeah.
The only character I think that came in the NXT era that had success in both NXT and on the main roster with the same character was Bray Wyatt.
Yes. Okay.
Because
I was hoping you'd say him because I had him on the tip of my tongue.
And there's one thing about that character that makes him different from everybody else. He was original and he was a character. Vince McMahon loves characters. He loves those larger than life creations where NXT Bray Wyatt was a cult leader. He was a Bayou down home cult leader. And you bring him up to NXT, you bring him up to WWE, and you turn that dial up to 11, and you create the Fireflies and Sister Abigail, and you craft and mold the image in the WWE fashion, and you make it bigger. But
it becomes a less interesting character.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Eventually, yes, they was meddled to death.
I remember fucking Kelly going off about fucking the Firefly Funhouse, and I tried to watch shit on YouTube about it. And
the problem with Bray was they waited too long.
Fucking hated it. I couldn't stand what they did to his character because I loved the Bray Wyatt character. I loved the Wyatt family. I don't think it ever needed to be more than that. And anytime he'd get to a chance to be the guy, they squashed him a month later.
Mm-hmm. Remember that title reign? Exactly a month.
Oh boy, we don't talk about that.
When he lost to Orton with that penis entrance.
We don't talk about that match because that match was. That match might be worse than the.
Oh God, yeah, that had the bugs on the ring too. Oh God, I had forgotten that. I'm sorry, never happened. I will never bring it up again.
Yep.
God.
But the character was always original and it was always larger than life, even to the point where when the Fiend was created, and they started the Firefly Funhouse stuff, it was good because it was original. It wasn't something you see on TV all the time, and then you put him with the perfect people to make it work, and his first major program was John Cena, who bought in, who said, all right, you're campy and fun and you're everything that I love to do, let's have some fun. And that had one of the craziest, greatest, like this is a match that's one of the best at WrestleMania, and it's not even a wrestling match. It's literally a 25-minute movie, but it's amazing because it's crazy.
And then panning to Titus O'Neil after the match, and he just deadpans looking at the camera like, you just know what the fuck to say.
Nobody knows what to say. Like, it just...
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like coming back to what you were saying, it is really crazy how many guys were way over on NXT, and then they were like, yeah, but we're not doing that. And you're like, why? Why? It got over on NXT, so it should get over in WWE. And then there are people who watch both. Like, it's not like there's nobody who watches both. Like, those people are already going to push that character, and I don't know. Yeah, just who's I don't know. I guess everyone. I don't have to point out specific people. Like pretty much everyone that went up there.
Cass. There's the Enzo and Big Cass. There's the perfect example of guys who were on NXT, and then they did the debut of the night after WrestleMania on Raw, and that pop was fucking huge.
Yeah,
because people knew who they were, and they were kind of expecting it because it's the night after WrestleMania. They had built enough to where this is where guys are going to debut, and like and if you just leave well enough alone and just let them work the character that they've been doing for years on NXT to let's say a 40% new audience who doesn't watch NXT, then it'll get over with them the same way it got over with the NXT audience, and you just leave it alone because it works. And that's what AEW does, is they leave well enough alone and let everything happen organically. You don't need to beat people over the head with this stuff.
How many? It's crazy how many people they had come up and do that, but it doesn't make sense because it's not how many wrestlers can get over like 3 or 4 different characters, right? Like there's a lot of great wrestlers out there who could do multiple things. They could be a good guy and a bad guy. They can play campy and not campy and whatever. It's hard to get that many wrestlers, that many performers that can do that. So when you have someone come out and have a character that got over with all the fans, like, why would you ever say, like, you know what, we're going to change you, you're going to be this now? It's like, they've already proven they're good at that thing. They've already proven they could do that character, that face or heel, that whether you're a character or whether you're, a more of a real style wrestler, there's not that many wrestlers that you could just be like, you know what, you're going to be exactly different. We're going to change you. Now you're going to be campy. Now you're going to be this. You're going to put a mask on instead or whatever. Like, there's not a lot of wrestlers that can pull off like so many different characters. There are some, but like, once you see someone do something really well and it gets over, like, that's the thing. Cool. We caught lightning in a bottle. Like, we'll just keep it there. Not like don't be like, oh, well, we'll see if lightning strikes twice. We'll give them a totally new character and see if they could do this. It's like, but they're already good at that.
It's being able to take the character you've created and mold it and craft it in different ways that make them special. Like, you make a great point in that, the great ones can do it. I mean, Austin is a prime example of that. From 1996 to present, he has been the same gimmick. They've changed it, they've molded it, and they've crafted it into different things. Like, there are different eras of Austin. DTA Austin is different from Sheriff Austin, who is different from Jimmy Crack Corn Austin, who is different from, King of the Ring Austin, who is, I could keep going and keep going and keep going, but they're all different.
Nobody would have told you that 1996 Austin would go on to be a comedy character in 2002, 2002, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know, but yeah, like, nobody would have been able to tell you that Ultimate Badass was later going to be hugging Vince McMahon and singing songs with Kurt Angle and
I don't know.
Whatever, right?
I see the Ringmaster doing that. Anyway, we got to get to rapid fire here, guys. I got to fly, or it's not going to look pretty on screen. Read into it what you will. Okay, really quickly. Adam Cole, will he become AEW champion in 2022? Yes or no?
Yes.
2022? No.
No.
Like the big belt?
Yeah, the big belt, the giant one. God, I would kill for a replica of that, but I don't think I could carry it. I'm going to go no. I'm going to go no as well.
Remind me to show you the New South title belt. I'll send you a picture. It's ridiculous.
Kenny Omega, is he going to have a face turn? Yes or no? 2022.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kenny and the Bucks
I see
against.
it coming, but I don't know if I want it to. Is this Jericho's final year in ring? Yes or no?
No.
No. I'm going to say no too. I think he has the itch.
He's going to go until the wheels fall off.
They fell off 5 years ago.
These guys are working so much less than what they used to that, maybe it adds a little bit to the longevity.
I mean, Hangman's had 3 matches since he won the title 2 months
60-plus-year-old Sting with a bum neck is still out there having
I seen him deliver
amazing matches in 2021. Chris Jericho can still go for another 10 years if he wants to.
He needs to stop that lion salt, though.
He's also shown that he, by changing his finisher to the Judas effect, which a fucking 80-year-old man can do, he's shown that he's I'm just gonna keep tweaking things, and I'll make it so that I could still wrestle,
He's another of those prime examples of change the character and still get it over.
But I think he could get anything over. I think he could do anything.
At this point, I think the guy got a clipboard over.
He's an entertaining. He's one of the most entertaining people in the universe.
MJF title 2022, yes or no?
I'd say more next 2023.
I think it'll be 23 as well.
I think 23, but I mean they've kind of hinted at it, but I think the angle there is going to be Punk preventing him from it.
Yeah.
I'll say this: next winter, whether that's December, January, or February, I don't know, but it's next.
That's I'd say that's the bet.
Darby Allin, AEW champion 2022.
God, no.
I think he's firmly entrenched in the mid card. I mean, I think it would be weird to see him move up. I don't know.
I still want to see him in main event matches against those guys, but I don't think he's.
Yeah, I don't think he'll ever be the guy.
Maybe he loses it on a Wednesday.
He's the he's the Razor Ramon type guy. He's the he can be this. He could be the second best face in the company for a long time. Doesn't need the title.
I'm saying this right now on record on this show. In 10 years, he is the only one of the 4 pillars to not win the AEW World Title.
Yeah, you think Britt Baker's going to win the title?
She's the new fourth. Oh man.
Okay. Of the male 4 pillars, Darby Allin will not hold the AEW World Title in the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think
Jungle Boy's going to get the run.
Oh yeah.
Sammy's going to get the run. And
I can see Jungle Boy getting the run before Sammy.
Oh, absolutely. Jungle Boy he's next man up in that rising babyface category.
Yeah, he's of the 4.
Sammy's not going to get it as a babyface. Sammy's going to get it as a heel.
No, Sammy will get it as a heel.
I love them giving that song to Jungle Boy. That
song is so over. I love it.
Because he didn't. I mean, everybody loved him coming on the back of Luchasaurus and the flip over thing, but giving that song to him gave him that entrance pop that everyone's like, yes, I want to sing. Yes, I want woo like that.
What you mean to say is giving him back that song?
Sorry. Oh, did he not? I don't know about that. But
that was his song on the Indies. Yeah.
I know that they gave Moxley the Wild Thing song and they gave the Pixies song to Orange Cassidy, which is awesome.
I actually don't like that.
You don't like the song?
No, I love the song. It just doesn't. It's not Orange Cassidy.
There's a clip of a fan, an AEW pay-per-view, and Moxley's coming to the ring. And this guy's in the back row of the building, and he's half drunk, and he just yells. He's like, "It's Wild Thing!"
I don't like that song from Moxley, but then I got the backstory on it being from
Onita
from a Japanese match.
Yep.
It's
Something to do-
Onita's theme. He was even using
knew
Onita's version there for a while.
Sorry?
Which was he was even using like the Onita version there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the host is not back, so
Yeah.
We are still going, ladies and gentlemen.
I did want to fit this in earlier. It has nothing to do with what we're saying now, but I watched the day one pay-per-view with my son because he still loves WWE and he still watches it. And
I think he's their target audience. I mean, let's be honest.
Exactly, yeah. But I watched it and I gotta say I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed most of the show, and it was.
There wasn't anything offensive on it. I mean, I'll admit I kind of like fell asleep through half of it.
The tag team match that opened it up was phenomenal.
I mean, like I said at the time, this was the first pay-per-view that aired since we opened the Discord channel, and like I said in there, you put the Usos and the New Day together, and you're always gonna have a banger. It's a guarantee.
Yeah,
using the 3D and everything, and they put together a really nice match.
They've wrestled. I said it. They're the John Cena and Randy Orton of tag teams in the WWE.
Yeah.
Well, that is a name getting called out in chat that I did not expect. We got a Megumi Kudo fan. Chair.
Really?
I don't know who that is.
Fantastic.
That's
definitely a
I know who
Megumi
nice Fuji is, but I don't know who that is.
Late 90s FMW.
She's the deathmatch queen.
Yeah,
she's the deathmatch queen. Her and Shark Tsuchiya and was it 98? I think
97.
Was it 97 they had Either way, chef's kiss. She's the only person that Mick Foley has ever seen a spot and feared for his life. If you've ever heard the story of Mick Foley being in the locker room where the wrestler's lycra suit catches on fire and burns the body, that was Megumi Kudo. Yeah. That was one of the Shark Tsuchiya matches.
Was that the match with the powerbomb?
I don't remember specifically which spot it was, but I mean that sounds right. Okay, so we've got time to free ball here for a while.
Yes.
So we just kind of take this off on a train and take.
It's funny. Kieran mentioned how his kid is a big WWE fan, and my buddy Ryan, he's got a 10-year-old, and he's a huge WWE fan. So he'll call me and like, did you know that $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase sold the WWE title? I'm like, yep. Yeah.
Well, he bought it. He didn't sell it.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, okay. He's getting there, It just reminds me of it's weird to see people with WWE brain, because I think when we were growing up, we were simply enthralled by the idea of wrestling.
It was larger than life. That was the whole point.
We weren't attracted to a brand or any of that. We were just, hey, give me 3 ropes and a ring and 2 guys, and I will sit here and watch it.
We caught that tail end. I mean, I'm the youngest of the 3 of us, and we caught that tail end of the Hulkamania era.
Yeah,
that's where we all started. Like for me, legitimately the first memory of my life is literally sitting in front of the television and seeing Andre the Giant in the ring, and that larger than life, just I mean, of course, you grow up and find out that he wasn't as giant as you thought he was, but I mean, still, that guy was just. He was larger than life, and then you start seeing the Hulk Hogans and the Ultimate Warriors, and the characters were so much bigger than wrestling. And that made it so amazing that you kind of we grew up with it. We are the generation that's grown up with it. We are the we grew up with the WWE to the point where by the time they got to the Attitude Era, that was for you guys more so than me, I was still at the bottom of that age range when the Attitude Era kicked off. That I wasn't. I mean, I was 10 when the Attitude Era kicked off, so it's still a few years before. For me, I kind of skipped the Attitude Era, came back in 2001, WrestleMania 7. But I did not watch a WWE pay-per-view from 99 through WrestleMania 17 because it got too old for me. I mean, I was 10, I was 11. Yeah. I don't want to be watching, The Undertaker crucifying Steve Austin. Like, that's not, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I remember. I always remember this, so I started off, like, my era was the New Generation era, because I was into wrestling before that, but I was too young to really remember it. It's funny, I always ask my mom, like, I was like, well, which wrestlers did I like or whatever, and she's like, apparently I really liked Rick Rude, and I really liked Macho Man, and I was like, cool, great, I'm glad to hear that I was a fan of those wrestlers, they're awesome.
Yep.
But I don't really remember much of that. I don't remember watching it. I know I had rubber wrestlers in the ring and whatever, but I don't remember it. The New Generation, I specifically remember all of that 95 stuff. Mm-hmm. I was really big into that. When the Attitude Era happened, I was so pissed off at Shawn Michaels that I stopped watching and I watched WCW anymore. When Shawn Michaels became a bad guy, I was so pissed off I watched WCW instead.
I mean, I went WCW for that period that I talked about. For me, it was partly Bret Hart. He was the guy that, New Generation, he was my guy, because, I was Canadian, for one. And for two, I never liked I never liked how, I guess, sort of, I mean, this is just, product of the times, but I'm going to say Shawn Michaels was too effeminate for me. Like, the character was too... I don't want to see a sexy boy. That's weird. That's not, no thank you. Like, cool, but no thank you. Yeah. Not my thing. But, Brett was my guy, because he was real.
Yeah.
And
the
Owen feud. The Owen feud, I love that. Having a younger brother, I understood that feud in that, that family feud sense of way. Like, yeah, you want to beat the crap out of your brother sometimes.
Yeah, Teddy kicked your leg out of your leg.
Yeah, he definitely has a time or two.
Kale will tell you we did nothing but wrestle everywhere we went. We literally went to the grocery store, and I was always just using things to beat him up. And, like, no matter where we went, my mom was like, "What are you guys doing?" And we were like, "Sorry, Mom." And, like, no matter where we went, we were always just wrestling all the time.
Like when he left, to me, that was it. That was it for me. I'm not here for this no more. My guy's gone. The stories are getting too not for me. And I followed him. I stayed WCW until they died. And yeah, I stayed through the garbage years that was 2000. I still watched, I watched Nitro every week that I could, because it had the weird airing schedule in Canada, being that both Raw and Nitro were both on TSN. Like you'd have Nitro Monday night at 11, and then Tuesday at like
4 to 6.
4 to 6, yeah. And you didn't always catch that because you're just getting home from school, and
I remember
there's other shows on at that time that you want to watch that are just as important to you. But
you
never
could set your VCR
thunder.
To record at a certain time of the day. So I would always record when Nitro went to 3 hours. I'd always hit make sure it was recording at 3 p.m. While I was on my way home from school.
Yeah, but like I never missed the Thunder, I never missed a Saturday night, and those were my things, and I loved them. They were awful, but they were mine. Like, I mean, I still play the WWF video games because they were superior. But
what?
WWF video games were superior to the WCW games.
At what time?
Post Revenge.
Okay. You're walking a thin line with that one.
Revenge came at that point. That was right around the time when Brett did make the switch. So that was the last game that was really good.
I'm going to show my age with this, but one of my earliest memories of wrestling.
Bret Hart's in Revenge.
I don't think so.
Maybe.
Oh, Lloyd.
Yeah?
Hey, Zeus. This channel constantly harps on negativity nonstop. Why are you on the chat if you haven't even watched the movies? LMFAO. Unsubbed, get bent.
Hi, Lloyd. Anyway, so one of my earliest memories of wrestling. Do you guys remember when Superstation TBS was a channel you'd have to pay for to get those extra upper tier channels?
No, my parents wouldn't do that, so I wouldn't.
Okay, so one of my earliest memories was watching a Clash of the Champions in 1992.
Which one?
During probably Clash of Champions 20. I want to say.
Would that be
the 8-man tag?
Okay, I was gonna say the first one I remember watching vividly was the Polly Dangerously Medusa.
Yeah.
One that was 92, later 92.
Yeah, and the only reason I was able to watch it was because TBS had a free preview weekend.
Yeah, but
I didn't have to worry about that. My parents knew people, so we were always equipped with a little black box. It was a very lovely thing on pay-per-view nights.
Yeah.
Black box.
Man, I was late on that one. I think I got mine in 98.
Oh man, I had one my entire life. I don't think I ever didn't have one in the house.
Yeah.
Man, did you have some great Saturday nights watching Shockmaster or what?
Oh yeah.
I just remember.
I'm a little confused if you're referring to the WCW character, or if this is another reference you're making.
No, the WCW character.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
He-
Yeah,
he
they're
came out
partner
on
for
the
War Games.
terrible
He
set.
is.
Wow.
That was a very bad era for WCW. Like, every big character was like, that sounds like the Black Scorpion.
Mm.
Oh
Black
yeah.
That was my
Scorpion
first-
awesome.
That was my first thought because I'd had like the tapes from the 90s where I'd see like the Black Scorpion angle because they always taped the pay-per-views even before I was watching religiously. So I'd see like these old pay-per-views in Saturday or in Clash of the Champions. They never taped the TV, which sucked, but I'd watch the clashes and the pay-per-views from the early 90s and it's like, why does the Black Scorpion sound like the Shockmaster? And I mean, I'm 4 or 5 years old at the time, and it's like, why are these? Like, I thought the Black Scorpion was about to come through that curtain the first time. It's like, huh?
I love the one time the Black Scorpion was at he was on an arena, like he was on the ramp or something like that, and then he teleported someone else, and they were obviously different people because they were totally different
Yeah.
sizes.
He got me with the tiger when he made the tiger disappear. Like that, 3-4 year old me was like, holy crap, the tiger's gone.
We got a jet here, guys. But before we do, I just want to throw this out there so someone can remind me before the next time we have Jer on. We need to talk about that Chris Canyon inside the ring? Is that what it's called?
Dark Side of the Ring.
Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh my god, we
guys
could talk
seen that
about
one?
all of those.
Yeah, there's so many good episodes.
They're all good. No, let's be real. They're all good episodes.
They're
I
all
never had
good.
any background
Yeah,
knowledge on the Chris Canyon one or the event that they had over in Korea. Watching those two definitely blew my mind.
Well, that one's got the Sinister Minister in it, so it's worth watching. So
Oh
That
man,
man
there's
is-
a great Sinister Minister story in a shoot interview where him and Mortis get this hooker back at the hotel room, and Mortis used to have this stick that had a skull on top, and I'm just gonna leave that there.
Johnny, Jer, inside handoff. What's going on with you guys now?
We are currently plotting our playoff episode recording this Friday night.
Yes, and I'm running a side hustle at the moment. I have a Facebook page, Dark Match Drive. We talk all kinds of insane wrestling. I have a Google Drive for wrestling. It's 100% wrestling all the time. I have no life outside of this Facebook page. I make 37 posts a day. Please support this Facebook page so I have some.
He makes,
on
he
it.
makes 37. I make 30.
I'm on it. It's awesome. It's the
And we
best
have a
wrestling
Discord
one
where
I'm
we do
on.
live event chats for AEW.
I'm just
and
going to
all
say this
sorts
right now.
of stuff.
KJ Ladd in the chat. I don't know who you are. I don't know if I actually know you, if you're a person that we interact with. But if you're not in Dark Match Drive, you need to join there because you would get along famously with all of us. I mean, for God's sakes, you know who Megumi Kudo and Combat Toyota are. You fit in
Yeah,
immediately.
yeah.
So find Dark Match Drive on Facebook, and if you're already there, send us a hi, I'm this me, so
Yes.
that we know who you are.
Kieran, Star Wars next week?
Yeah, I was ready to do it this week, actually. So But-
Awesome.
yeah, no, good to go. We got lots to talk about. So
3 hours, another
Yeah,
episode.
didn't Boba Fett come out with a new book?
And on that note, we're
Womp
done.
womp.
Good night.